Hello and welcome to this edition of Peak Life. Today, warning, if this makes you squeamish, you can do it. We're talking about blood. I am here with Shannon Revels with the American Red Cross. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And you are right, it's not that hard of a job.
It's not scary. It's not scary. That's what I always try and tell people. I was telling you, I love giving blood. It's honestly like, 30 minutes where you can lay down on a table and do nothing. And it's like the highlight of my every 8 weeks. So I'm thrilled to be talking about this.
Yes, we so appreciate your donations and the city of Chesapeake's donations. And like you said, it's such an easy way to give back. Everyone has blood. Not everyone has money that they can donate, but all of us do have blood. And if we're healthy and eligible, it's such an easy way to give back to those people in need. There's no replacement for it. We can't make it in a lab. We can't order it online like we do everything else.
Yeah.
The only we have it is by people like you sticking out their arm to give the gift of life.
What are some of those, like kind of talking about the squeamishness, the fear of it, what are some of those fears and concerns that you hear, and how do you, convince people to do it anyway?
I have to say myself, before I even started this job, I hadn't been donating blood, and I thought, oh goodness, I'm gonna have to do this once I start working here. And it was so mental. I had really built it up to be like, oh, it's a needle, it's gonna be so bad. But it really only hurts if you can talk to for like that 0.2 seconds that they insert that needle. And then other than that, like you said, it's a reason to have your feet up, relax. No one's telling you to get up and do everything. You sit back, you relax, and you truly are, I still have this feeling like you are saving someone's life while you're sitting there with your feet up and just for that 0.2 seconds of hurting. So I just tell people to really focus on that end part. It's really only hurting for those 2 seconds. And people that may have heard stories of people not feeling well or whatnot after donating, often it's because people did not prepare their bodies appropriately for donating. Maybe they donated on an empty stomach, or they weren't hydrated before they donate. And that's really generally the only times we may see someone not feel well after donating blood. But generally, as you can speak to, and I go about all your regular daily activities, you come back to work, you do everything else you're supposed to do, really preparing your body, drinking lots of water, getting a good hearty breakfast or lunch in before you donate is really going to help that process. And even preparing up a week or so ahead of time, if maybe your iron levels are usually low, you can beef up on those iron-rich foods. Take maybe out your teas and sodas and add in more water, and you'll definitely have a great experience.
Those are fantastic tips. So it's easy to prepare before you go in. Afterwards, you get a cookie. I mean, I'll do anything for a good snack.
And I say they're calorie-free after donating blood. I don't know.
Yes. No, I feel like you burn calories donating blood. So this is actually an exercise routine.
I think so.
Is what we're saying?
I think so. If you walk to the blood drive, walk back.
There you go.
Help. But we always have juice, water, cookies, pretzels, and some raisins for those that may want to still be super healthy after they donate.
Well, and I have always found that the people who are working there are very helpful. So if you're nervous, if it's your first time, tell them, right? And they will kind of walk you through it, and they're going to make sure that you feel good. I know they're always asking, how you feeling? Everything okay?
Yes.
So there really is nothing to be scared of.
No, our phlebotomists do this all day, every day. Sometimes when you go to the doctor's office, that person may be doing that only a couple times a day. This is what they do all day, every day. So they are professionals. And then if you donate at one of our great City of Chesapeake blood drives, Captain Greg Staler runs blood drives at the library. I know you've donated there before. He has him and some other gentlemen that help out. They're just great supporters, always checking in on everyone, making sure you're feeling comfortable, and really giving that good customer service experience. So
you were talking about how you like to kind of think about all the lives you're saving while you're sitting there. Talk to me a bit about the need. What is the need like all throughout the year, and where does that blood go?
So there's a constant need for blood. I've been doing this job now 15 years, and never has there been a huge supply of blood, and we don't need blood drives anymore. There's a constant need for blood. People are in the hospital in need, and just because it's the holidays or the summertime doesn't mean those folks stop being in need of blood. Like I said, folks are in constant need. Folks that have sickle cell receive blood fairly regularly, and I've heard sickle cell patients say it's like a battery charge for them when they get those units. And, you know, I've also heard stories of patients go to the hospital and maybe that blood isn't on the shelves right away for them because of that blood type that they're in need of. And those are real life things. And that's what the Red Cross mission is to provide that blood, to make sure that blood's available for those patients in need all the time. So every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood.
Oh gosh. So if you think about it, it's like accidents, it's sicknesses, like you said. But I mean, if any one of us could get in a car accident and need
and
some
even
blood.
Premature babies receive blood.
Oh, wow. So babies can receive like adult blood?
Yeah,
that might be a dumb question, but that's wild.
No, there's different factors within the blood that are actually good for premature babies. Some donors may have received letters saying that their blood is good for premature babies, encouraging them to donate blood more often. So so that is, and then sometimes moms need blood if they have complications after having the baby. And then also cancer patients. A lot of cancer patients receive blood products. Platelets often are received by cancer patients. And then just some routine surgeries. I never forget, my grandmother went in for a surgery and just her iron levels dropped a little bit afterwards, and she needed to receive a unit of blood. And my mom called me all thankful for what I do. But it's true, a lot of people don't realize that until they're personally affected by it. But it can be as something as severe as a car accident or cancer patient, but it could be just a routine surgery that grandma's going in for. And you know, needs blood products. So the need is constant. Always. I've never seen us have a time where we just are like, oh, all of our shelves are full. So we provide the blood to the hospitals that they need and make sure it's there for the patients, but we're constantly needing to fill those shelves.
So let's talk about that journey. So from, you know, my arm, that beautiful A+ blood, how does it, like, what's the process to get to the person who needs it?
So it gets, so after we take your blood, it goes into our little cooler at the blood drive, and then our folks that are there at the blood drive take it back to our center in downtown Norfolk, and then the blood gets tested, and really within about 3 days, it is available on the shelves for patients in need. The Red Cross obviously being nationwide, a lot of times the blood will stay local, but if there's a great need somewhere else, then we will send that blood there. Years ago, there was some flooding in Tennessee, and they didn't collect blood for a while, so a lot of our blood was going to that area. So that's the plus of the Red Cross being nationwide. We're able to serve, you know, really across the country to where the need is. So it gets tested, and then it gets put on those shelves for those patients in need. And like I said, it does not sit on the shelves very long. Blood does have a 42-day shelf life, but it's really not sitting there that long most of the time.
Well, that's incredible to me that within less than a week, it could already be available to somebody else. That's
really
wild.
within 3 days, you could be saving someone's life. And I know that you had mentioned you've seen before that it shows you where your blood ends up at.
Yeah, I love that. I get an email like a few weeks after and tells me your blood went, you know, to whatever hospital. And I love that.
It's a really cool piece that I'm so glad that we've done that for donors. It really sees that finished product. When saying it's gone to that hospital, you're saving that person's life. Like that's that confirmation you saved someone's life that day. So you actually can see that actually on our blood donor app also. So the blood donor app, we really encourage people to download. You just search Red Cross blood, it'll come up. And through that, you can make appointments for the blood drives. You can follow your blood journey like we just talked about. You can see your blood type. You can see how many units you've donated. You also can complete Rapid Pass, which is something that allows you to save time on blood drive day. So it's a really handy app that we definitely encourage people to download if you are a blood donor or even thinking about being a blood donor.
So, you know, you mentioned that Rapid Pass. So just to kind of prepare people, you know, in addition to preparing yourself physically, you will be asked a whole bunch of questions, and they're completely routine. Everybody gets asked the same things. You're going to get asked the same questions every time you go. So that's kind of why that Rapid Pass is so nice. It'll get you in there faster.
It does. It can save up about 15 minutes of your time. It allows you to answer all those health history questions before you come out to the drive. So you get a barcode at the end, and that's what you have to print off or have a screenshot of on your phone. We'll scan that, and then the collection staff person will review those questions with you at that point. So we really encourage people to do the Rapid Pass and make those appointments. We, of course, usually take walk-ins, but we really, really push for appointments just so we can provide good customer service and that we know we have enough people coming out to our blood drives. We set a goal for each blood drive because our hospitals are counting on those units, looking at our calendars in advance, really planning on those units coming in. So getting folks to schedule appointments allows us to plan appropriately for that. So that can all be done just through our website, redcrossblood.org, again on our blood donor app, or you can always call 1-800-RED-CROSS to schedule an appointment also.
So if someone is not sure, I feel like 10 years ago the rules were different than they were 5 years ago than they are now about like if you've gotten a tattoo, if you've been to this country, like is that on the app, that kind of information, or on the website?
Yeah, there is some information definitely on our website at redcrossblood.org. You can search eligibility questions. You can always just call 1-800-RED-CROSS if you want to know ahead of time, but the common eligibility questions are online. And really, I always say a good rule of thumb is if you have been healthy, if you're healthy and over the age of 16 and haven't been out of the country in the last year, there's a good chance you're eligible to donate.
Great. And I mean, who's been out of the country in the past year?
I know, right?
Well, speaking of that, did COVID affect you greatly? Or?
Yeah, we had a lot of challenges because we actually collect 20% of our blood supply comes from high schools and colleges generally.
Wow.
So we, of course, lost all of that. And actually, in the city of Virginia Beach and in some schools in Chesapeake, we run at elementary schools a lot also.
Okay. Not for the elementary school kids, but
no, it's
just as a location?
Yeah, it's a great program we have called Pint Size Hero Program. And we do presentations to the students to get them excited about blood donation and then ask them to go home and recruit mom, dad, aunt, uncle to come out. And each student that recruits someone gets a prize. The student gets a prize for being a lifesaver and recruiting. So so we have a lot of elementary school blood drives. So we really lost those accounts obviously right off when all of the schools closed. So it was a lot of scrambling. We really plan our calendars about 6 months in advance. So of course we had to backtrack and replan all those calendars, but we did have some great area churches step up and allow us to run a monthly blood drive at their locations here in Chesapeake. St. Thomas Episcopal and then Community Church also stepped up running blood drives every single month for us, which has just been a huge help. Captain Greg Stalers continued to run his blood drives at the public library here in Chesapeake. So we've really had some good solid supporters step up and help us during that time. But it definitely was challenging to find the locations. But once we had the locations out, I'm really thankful to say that the community really did step up and come out in the time of need during COVID. And we actually just saw it dip off some this spring when things started to open back up. We saw our donations kind of drop down.
All right, we're going to fix that. We're definitely going to fix that. I mean, you guys make it so easy for everybody with there's a location nearby your house, at least once a month probably. So,
for sure.
We're going to encourage everybody to go to redcrossblood.org.
You got it.
And they can check eligibility, locations, blood drives.
Exactly.
Shannon Revels, thank you so much for this info and for everything that you do.
Yes, thank you so much for having us and spreading our message.
Wonderful. No problem. We'll do it again.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Peak Life. We'll see you again next time.